Hi, Kellen Ross here. So another update about my EMDR journey. In my last video, I talked about how many EMDR sessions I'd had, which at the time was 12. And I did think I was done doing EMDR, but going back into the therapy and looking at what I still need to handle, one of the main things is this persecutory voice that I have. And this voice is complicated because it is the one that tells me that I'm too smart to feel a certain way, or too mature and too old to have a certain feeling, or to do a certain action. This is the voice that kept me functional for a really, 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 really long time. Such that even if I was suicidal, I would get up and go to work the next day. And I mean seriously suicidal, like not to minimize suicidal ideation, but with a plan, you know. This is the one that pushed me to be a parent and to keep it together. For my kid, it pushed me to go to college and graduate at the top of my class with a 4.0. It just drives me. It's the thing that tells me you can't stop. You have to keep going, because if you don't keep going, everything's going to fall apart. You're going to lose your kid. You're going to lose your job. You're going to end up homeless. You're going to be in a psychiatric ward. Something like that, right? But the issue is the same voice is the one that pushes me to go past healthy limits for myself. And I guess one way you could describe this is it's like someone forcing you to run a marathon on 2 broken legs and having no sympathy whatsoever. So we started to look into this persecutory voice and discovered that it seems to be coming from another ego state, or at least partially coming from another ego state, which means that I went back into ego state therapy, and I've now had 2 more sessions, which puts me up to, I think, 14. I think I was at 12, now I'm at 14. Maybe it was 13 and 15. Anyway, it's like a lot. So this has been super, super hard. I was crying yesterday. When I cry, my eyes get super puffy like this for a day or so, and I just didn't feel like trying to hide it today, so whatever. This is real. This is what it looks like. Hi. Okay. This voice appears to be an ego state. Me at about 15. And 15 was when I was most certainly at my angriest, I would say. And that anger pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed me until I got to where I am now. When we started the session, the last time, we started by first of all trying to find a memory of someone who had told me, you're too smart for this, you're too mature for this, you're too knowledgeable for this, whatever that thing is, that my therapist called a persecutory voice. I was able to identify my father as being one of those voices. He certainly would say things like that to me. And the idea was, like, I was never really allowed to make mistakes. I was never really allowed not to be perfect, because I happened to be, you know, a reasonably intelligent person and a reasonably self-aware person. So while it, on the one hand, has kept me functional, and I'm very thankful for that, on the other hand, it has kept me frozen in this place where I feel like I can't ever be good enough, and I can't ever make mistakes, because if I make mistakes, it's really just my own fault, right? And that part of me definitely has a very fixed mindset, like, this is the way it's going to be and it's never going to get better, right? So once we were able to identify my father as being the person saying this to me, I then went to myself at about 15, which is around the time he would have been saying these things to me. And that's when I discovered this part of me. And again, you know, this is all very metaphorical. It's using your imagination to tap into different parts of your psyche. brain hacking, I've heard it called too, although I don't know if I agree with that. So then I started dealing with this ego state. This ego state is so strong, so incredibly strong. And, that makes sense, because there's no way that I could have survived as long as I did with the trauma that I've been through if I didn't have a part of me that was just pushing me and pushing me and pushing me and pushing me to not give up, right? To keep fighting no matter what. So this part of me is a fighter. My first session was very, very hard dealing with this part of me, this ego state. When I picture her inside myself and I picture like, what is she saying? What is she doing? What does she look like? Where is she? She's alone. She is in a void. I can't see anything around her except darkness. When I first saw her, I imagined her as like almost snarling, like non-verbal, just so angry, so angry. And, we kind of got into talking to her and trying to get to see like, what is it that she needs and what messages does she have for me and what's going on. And really after the first session, I kind of left it unresolved because we ran out of time, and it's rare that happens. It's only happened a few times during this therapy. But when it does, it leaves me super disoriented and like uneasy until I get back in to resolve it. And that's how I was all last week. I just felt like I was on edge. I felt all this anger. I felt like lashing out at people. I felt impatient. I feel agitated, irritated, and like afraid, like very deeply afraid. And I'm not sure exactly where that fear came from, if it's like a fear of losing that part of me or a fear of facing that part of me. I don't know. Fear of finding something that I may not be able to fix. So I went in yesterday for a second session, and we didn't resolve it completely, but I was able to take her, this part of me, it's not another person, but you understand hopefully. I'm able to take her, my 15-year-old self, into my safe space that I have in my brain, which is my great-grandparents' house and property that I grew up or that I grew up going to, and that was always safe and always happy for me. When I was able to imagine bringing her there, she was far less angry. She felt safer, and the message that I was getting from her was that she wanted to play. She wanted to play. So maybe there's this part of me that's like, I'm going to take on all the adult roles and all the adult responsibilities, but really I'm still just a kid. I mean, if you've ever met a 15-year-old, that's kind of how they are, right? So we weren't able to completely resolve like what's going on with that part of me. Can I reintegrate this part of me? Can I learn from this part of me? But I was able to imagine getting her to go to sleep in this little bed that I used to sleep in at my great-grandparents' house that we called the Cleopatra bed. It was really a chaise lounge, but I didn't know that at the time. We thought it was very fancy. And I did feel better, and I do feel better, but again, just so emotionally raw, and exhausted. And I get hungry. I don't know if I've talked about this before, but I get super hungry and super tired after an intense session like this. And I've read other people say that they get nauseated, and I get nauseated. I have gotten nauseated like in a session, like during the session as something's kind of coming up, but I've never thrown up, and I've never felt nauseated after the session. I don't think I have. I always feel hungry. Anyways, so yesterday we did that, and I came home, and I'm just a raw nerve all day. I am really trying to take care of myself. I found another yoga place near my apartment so that I can walk to it. The place I was going before moved, and they tore down the building. Now they're putting this big stupid condo there. But I found a new place that I really like, and I got a unlimited monthly membership, like trial membership, and I'm going to go as much as I can and see how much work I can do with coming back into my body and yoking my mind and body, as yoga is supposed to do, and to meditate and center myself. Tonight I'm going to basically adult nap time. It's restorative yoga with a what do they call it? A sound bath, right? So it's like bells and crystal bowls and whatever, all kinds of woo. But I don't care because it'll make me feel relaxed and hopefully access that part of me that's like, you know what, it's okay. You can go to sleep. you can be relaxed. You're gonna be okay. You're safe. So that's happening. I'm still working on eating better. I've dropped about 20 pounds over the past 4 months, maybe a little less, I guess 17, 18 pounds. I just by using an app, which I'm not going to mention because I don't want to, whatever, it doesn't matter. But basically calorie counting mixed with some cognitive behavioral psychology. You can guess what app that is. It has been helpful. I'm not going to say it's perfect because it's not, but it's been helpful. And I'm going to continue working on it. So I guess, I'm still under construction here, and once again, every time I think I'm like finding some closure with something or I'm done with something, I'm just not done with it yet. And that makes sense. I've been doing this therapy for 1.5 years now. I've had some pretty amazing results, but I still have a ways to go. So I guess that's it. That's my update for now, and I'll certainly update you further. Please excuse my clothes in the background here. I'm getting them ready for a clothing swap, and also to donate the ones that I'm not going to swap. As usual, if you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comments section, and subscribe if you want to continue to follow me on this journey. Thanks for watching.